You know, this is kind of a bop. Oh, as far as music goes. Okay. Honestly, like other people have probably said a couple times, this was featured in the first quarter direct. All the games from the direct are going to be released in the first half of the year. I gotta say, sometime in the first half. If they want to be extra cruel, they could try to aim it right for the death date of GBM, because that'd be kind of fuck you walkie, but it would both hurt and feel good. So beta's ended 2 days gone by. I have not left yet. You can't make me. I'm like 20 goddamn hours into this thing. Before I start spouting off on random stuff that I found out here, do you have any questions still about the game that I can check out for you here as long as I'm still in? I still have access to everything but missions. I can build, paint, test, the works. I still have access to almost every part. Unfortunately, I came up slightly short on full armor unicorn head, thunderbolt head and legs, and thunderbolt left arm. So I do not have videos available for those, but I have made little videos of all the unique actions and options for everything else in the beta. Which I found a couple neat things too. Just put this right up in here. Yeah, glow is a thing you can do. Through the paint menu itself, so you can apply it to this arm, for example. I don't want a decal, I want a pattern. Apologies, I did this like day one, but I'm still not 1000% where all the menus are. But there is a way to just absolutely destroy the highlight and specular to make things like atomic. As I'm sure you've already seen plenty of videos on. Let me whip out the old translate here real quick. Jesus. Dirty feet is an option. Dirty feet is the option. That was the weathering menu. I mean, I get it. It's like, oh, caution marks. Cool. Various decals and emblems. Yeah, they're definitely pulling some old vibes with the tracks. That's absolutely for sure. So let's try to mess around with one of these. Surface pattern. Let's go for just like a nice plain pattern, like a marble. Also great that you have all these different options to mess with. Now that pattern itself, tiling, position, color, metallic, roughness, emissive, right there. How emissive do you want it, buddy? Now let's make this something other than white. Like, let's go for a nice big old orange pattern. And let's just emit the shit out of it. Doesn't look very orange. I think metallic is what this slider is. Probably because I picked like a marble pattern. If I picked a palette pattern, let's go for like this. Let's go for this green check. Oh yeah, how's that? Oh, it didn't stay? Oh, that is dumb. Well, let's see what we can do on the whole thing. Pretty sure I have an option. One of these buttons that lets me, yep, hit the entire kit. There's we go. There's our user pattern. How's that? So, emissive paint, one cool thing we can do now. Of course, it's not just in these big weird splashes. You can apply it literally anywhere. Yeah, we're not gonna, but kind of weird that that guy isn't properly highlighted, but that looks pretty nice. So yes, you can do emissive paint. Put it wherever you feel like. It's kind of cool. Other thing I did here that might not be terribly apparent. If I can figure out what the command for it was. There we go. You can also angle and move on axis any part. So I've just entirely taken this left arm, moved it back. Where is it? Move it back out of the socket, rotate it out, and attach to that pivot point on the Justice Shield. So it'll still flop around and move and everything while fighting, but for the time being, it just kind of lives there. So you could absolutely just like, not just detaching arms, but you could use it to flip things around, reorient them along different lines of the body, do a bunch of goofy stuff with it. Like, I could technically attach this to the backpack instead. And then you could put something else over that slot where the arm peg used to be. If you're also wondering how I got my shield there, something else people might not have picked up on, shields also have a similar relocation period, where you don't just have to have it on your arm. You can relocate it onto the backpack or just not display it at all and keep the stats while not showing it. If you do put it on the arm and backpack, you can then use the axes to just move it wherever you feel like. So in this case, I enlarged it. I rotated a bit to the left, I slid it over, so it's just covering more of that back corner that the Justice Shield isn't. Though if you don't like how the shield looks, if you have something else in your arm that clashes with the shield, but you don't want to lose the benefits of the shield stats or the shield skills, there's no reason why you can't just turn it off. Now, if I throw something on here that actually has a skill, like Jesta or Jigen, for example, that'll work. And then decide to turn it off. I still have access to those Jigen missiles. It's not lost to me. It won't be displayed as a shield in battle, but it'll still act like it's there. So the proper amount of modeling, certain things in there, objects, builders, parts, things that you can make kind of look like some kind of missile launcher, you can absolutely still emulate that effect and have it be believable. Speaking of shields and looks, weapons cannot be hidden, unfortunately. Kind of. There is no option to just say, I want to hide my saber. But what you can do is rescale it to be a lot less noticeable. You can take a large arm like a high dog, and you could, for example, take an axe, a heat hawk. You could scale that dude down. Well, you don't scale the weapon itself. You'd scale a gun. You could scale the arm to the point that the heat hawk doesn't take up as much of the surface area anymore, so it's kind of hidden. You could move and angle the arm so it kind of eats the melee weapon instead. I guess I'm describing it weird, but let's say I'm going to use this heat hawk. I can't just scale the arm. Okay, that looks really good. I can't just scale the arm directly because it'll scale the weapon with it. But what I can do is adjust the arm's position so hopefully it just won't be as obvious. Oh, this isn't working, is it? Hey, I might be full of it. I was thinking I could maybe try to glomp it into the arm, but I don't think that's going to happen. Now I'm full of it, so it's going to look weird on there. I mean, you can just not use your melee, and that'll help hide it, since the game does not seem to want to have you go out with that one. Now, traditionally, there has been fist weapons, there have been claw weapons, there have been martial weapons, there have been open bare-handed weapons. It's not impossible to think that you can, put something on that lets you use the claws on that instead of an axe. In the meantime, it hides it kind of well, but, I don't know what I think I could do there. I really don't. Speaking of not using your melee, there are some pretty okay alternatives for that. Good example. Not all weapon options on parts are created equal. There are some in this demo alone that go above and beyond what others do. So you know that most things that have a beam saber, like the Gundam backpack or the gym backpack, are going to have a beam saber option built into them. Like, you'll be able to hit that circle button and do a saber combo. Some of these options are actually different. They're more unique than just that, despite not being stated as such. Let me throw some F91 arms on here. Bear with me. And more importantly, F91 legs. Where are you, little fellas? And for the sake of having that beam saber mount, we'll do a gym backpack. It's all. Oh, one more thing to note as long as I have the F91 here. Let's say you have a beam shield emitter like the F91 does. And you don't want to use your regular shield because you think it looks goofy. As long as it's something selectable, you can absolutely use built-in shields on arms. So Strike Freedom, for example, would probably have the same thing going on with his beam shield. You need to have this specific arm equipped, but once you do, it's as easy just finding it in the menu and equipping it. So what I want to try to demonstrate is backpack beam saber, leg beam saber. That emissive does look really good. I'll give it that. So if you want to hide your melee weapon, you can always use one of the melee options. They are similar to the one-handed combo strings. No real difference there. They're going to cost your option gauge, but they come back fast enough to use the combo again. The only downside is you can't use other options during them normally. And then you can just never use your actual melee weapon, like have a gun out instead. And that's one technical way to hide it. Though I feel like module parts, fist modules, claw modules are the better way to go. Now there are some pretty unique saber options out there too. My personal favorite that I found so far in this whole demo is these F91 legs, because on the surface it looks like a regular basic combo, but while the regular beam saber is well held to deploy will have a nice pop-up, F91 lets you do the fwoppa fwoppa. And if I just turn off max gauge here real quick, the only resource that takes is not option gauge, but boost. As long as I have boost, I can still keep doing this. And the option gauge has already come back and then some by the time I get to that point. I can actually combine this with other options that let you take other actions. Like... Hi, Counter. Your eyes are melting. As soon as the gauge comes back, I can use Vulcans, too. Because that's something that lets me take other actions while I attack. It's not much, but it's like a cool little add-on damage I can do. So get out of the corner. I get it most of the time. For some reason, I'm not really picking up on it here. I want to hold that, and then as soon as it comes back, there we go. Get it with the Vulcans and the Fwoppa. Cool shit. Cool shit you might not find out. Plug my phone in, apparently it's dying on us. Give him a little home run goodbye before we leave. Speaking of built-in shields, Now, before I go any further, we're turning this emissive crap off. Actually, I don't need to turn it off. There is a cool thing this does as quality of life. The topic we move on to is integrated weapons. But let's say you have something a very distinct paint job like this, and you want to equip a new part. It does give you the option of equipping that same paint scheme on it, or using the default. That's really nice, honestly. So, stuff you might not have known. There is actually a bazooka in the demo. It's not a weapon that drops. It's not a handheld weapon. That was kind of neat, actually. It is integrated into Akai's arm. And the way to use it would be to equip said arm. And then, just like we did from the F91 shield, find it on our menu. Akai's name is like a fancy P and then a smile and then a divining rod. So the right arm is going to have a beam gun in it. How was that? Fancy P, smile. I could go down the list till I find a gun that doesn't show up on the hand, and that's how I know it's integrated. But I'm also just trying to recognize it by name. Unfortunately, my kanji is pretty crappy. Wow, that's really crappy if I can't find it. Okay, plan B. We go one by one until it doesn't show a weapon. It's going to be much, much easier on the other arm. Trust. I feel like you should also have a new icon because it shouldn't be available till I equip this arm. That's what happened with the F91 shield, at least. This should not be this hard. You know what? I bet it's not even called Akai. I bet it's called like Mega Particle Cannon. Yeah, right there, that crap. So we'll have an icon on it at least because it is a new weapon. So at least that helps a little bit. And then the other arm is a little easier to find because it's going to be the only bazooka we have access to. Because it's built into that left arm. Hygog also has this capability. In fact, I'm going to throw Hygog on the right to demonstrate it. And we should be able to find it by that new icon right there. And going in there with those equipped instead gives us access to those particular handheld weapons. So, a nice blue beam cannon with a charge feature. Which is a little janky because the guy's frame is not made for the arm, so it's kind of like going into the ground when I do that. That. And left arm houses the bazooka. It doesn't have any charge or doesn't have any secondary fire, but just knocks the hell out of people. They're gonna drop that. Just neat stuff. That there's, I don't want to call them secret, but there are hidden integrated weapons. If you know the parts to look for them. Oh, speaking of other integrated hidden stuff, let me load up a build here real quick. It's not so hidden. I mean, it says it on the menu. It just might not be readily apparent. There are some EX skills that have very specific part requirements outside of the main part they're using. G-Cell Farm has a fun little punchy skill, but when you go to equip it under your EX skill menu, you might find that it actually requires both left and right G-Cell Farm to use. Just one won't let you activate it. Same thing with Rolling Buster off Wing Zero Custom. You need both busters in both hands to be able to use it. Otherwise, it remains inaccessible. With it, though, you got a fun spinny spin. And not that one. There we go. Hitbox is kind of weird and it doesn't do a whole lot, but I don't know if that's because I'm using like level 1 rifle in one hand. It does enough. I mean, the Buster Rifle alone is still pretty decent as a primary weapon. Oh yeah, maybe that's why. I can definitely tell which one's a level 1. That fella doing 135, that fella doing 671. One small complaint I have about the control scheme. Everything's appropriately snappy. It's not like... It's not super Breaker 3 speed, but it works really well. Charge, hold down the trigger Jirobees on handheld weapons don't work for me like 80% of the time. That time it worked. But that whole time I've been jumping around holding the trigger trying to get it to go off. And failing. I don't know what the problem is. But hopefully that's something they can resolve by the time the game release is proper. So, Rolling Buster Rifle for 2 busters. Then you have both G-Cell Farms. You get a high torque punch. Just a nice little quick combo that pops up. And if I turn on the setting for it, it's actually pretty good at breaking parts too. And if you have enough gauge, if I turn off infinite gauge here, it combos into itself. As long as you have the gauge to spend. If you knock enough off of them, and they're just that torso left, you have a chance to instantly ground punish and destroy them. It's not working because I've made the enemies invincible in the menu, but now it will. That's a holdover from Breaker 2, Breaker 3, all the old Breakers. If you manage to completely part out something so it's just a torso left, you have the opportunity to just finish it off coup de grace on the ground. And don't worry about the rest of its HP. That really is my favorite so far. I mean, as long as I'm in the menu, if anyone else has questions, like, I'll figure it out. I'll test as much as you need me to. Because as soon as I'm done messing around here, I'm going to finally shut off the game for good. I'll be gone forever. Gotta till it comes back. Let's throw on Rolling Buster, VSBR, and something with a good... Here, we'll do this. Something with a good, strong Jirobi EX. Are you curious about that? I did at the start of Bum Lunch. I moved an arm onto an entirely separate piece of geometry. Yeah, we'll go crazy on this one. Now, scale does not actually change anything about the properties of the attacks or anything. Little disappointed in that aspect. I can make my sword arm as big as I want it to be, but it won't affect the range in any way. And if there's any kind of special attacks or options associated with such an arm, they will scale down to regular size when in use. So like the Beam Saber combo on the gym backpack. If you make that backpack and consequently the saber handle ginormous, they're just going to scale back down to normal after. Yeah. Like, it's great for balance. I'm slightly disappointed that we can't, like, elongate the size of effects or anything similar. I'm going to put a little bit of legs and a big ol' arm. We're going to go over the head. Make this boy SD. There are no grades but high grades so far. Oh, and we're also going to... There are mentions of master grades on the menus, but we don't have any access to that kind of stuff yet. Move that fella right back. Okay. Yeah, maybe halfway. Yay. One more thing I found neat. Yeah, that's a big one. It's a cool big one attack. Despite the fact that it looks bigger though, the actual hitboxes and range do not change. Yeah. There's only a handful of originals in GBM anyway, but if they do, they do. They got the room for it for sure. Alright, so let me turn off Infinite Gauge. Something I learned monkeying around, you can overfeed certain EX skills. So let's take like, which one is the, that's Rolling Buster. Refill real quick. Let's take the basic little Jirobi on the Thunderbolt arm. Takes 2 gauges, use it, bam, 2 gauges. 2 gauges gone, lasts that long, does that much damage. You can hold it to pump more gauge into it, up to like another gauge and a half to last longer, do more damage. It's not just for big death beams. You can do similar with Rolling Buster, get more rotations by spending more gauge. There are a handful of other EXs that can also feed it, like the VSBRs and F91. One tap, 2 gauge, 1 shot. Or you can spend another quarter gauge for 2, or 2.5 full gauges for 3. Won't let you get the option unless you have enough gauge, but it's nice to be able to just kind of like modulate it. That looks absolutely ridiculous, but unfortunately it does not increase the range at all. Or does it? You two, get in here. Okay, move there. Why did that feel like it did? Alright, let's do the scientific thing. Get this dude to the edge of a box. Get this dude to the edge of a box. If I'm going straight at him, it does not catch. If I move him to the next row in the box, okay, I think that's just mostly visual. As much as I would like to, it doesn't actually increase the hitbox size. That's a big fist, though. I have yet to find a good use for Vulcans. Some Vulcans appear to really be good at breaking parts. But outside of that, like... They're hard to hit with. They take forever to recharge the gauge. Compared to a machine cannon that'll, by the time the gauge is back, be already done shooting. Like, it uses the whole duration. I'm cool with that. Stuff I found like Akai Head with the Quad Vulcans actually does break off parts pretty regularly. Not mad about that one. Might look into that in the future if we, ever get to play this again. Alright, anything else you want to see? I went over built-in shields, I went over built-in weapons, overfed EXs. EX skills actually require specific parts, multiple parts, to work in tandem. Relocating the shields or hiding backpacks. Oh, one more thing while I'm thinking of it. Let me get something back to normal size here. In addition to being able to hide a shield, you can also hide your backpack if you just think it's too big and weird and gangly. Like if we throw on a... G-Self backpack. It's big, it's neato. We're also going to make sure to equip the G-Self beam attack. Alright. So it's cool, but maybe you think it's too big, too ugly, it's in the way. You want the stats, you want the skills. You still got to be a little careful. For example, this fella fires out those little side pods. And the geometry on it works because, you know, it's properly scaled to the backpack. If we were to hide that backpack and then try to use the skill like we did with the Jigen shield earlier, make sure it saves. Head to the void. I still have access to that attack, but it's like not coming out of the right place now. You can screw up some of the vectors by hiding the backpack. I assume because of the way it's supposed to offload it while still being there, but yeah. It's not perfect. On the plus side, laser boots. Oh, I fucked that up. Well, I still missed him. There we go. It's a fun new unique attack, right? There, right there, made it useful. How about that? Secret laser boot attack. God, that's so goofy. And there's like not any range it actually works at. The only way it works now... Oh, I guess it's supposed to be shooting straight ahead. The only way it works now is if you happen to be, you know, standing above them. Also, while it may eat option gauge like nothing, demonstrate on here real quick. It may take forever to get your option gauge back after. I really like hand grenades from the Jigen or the Jesta because they're almost like a guaranteed part out. Every time I hit something with them, they slap something off of it. Speaking of braking, this is a new feature, which is the hit status here. Hit combo bonus and break combo bonus. It is something entirely new to this, as far as I can tell, and it rewards you for big combo numbers, as well as break bonuses. Break bonuses appear to only be acquired by destroying enemies. Destroying parts don't do it. So an enemy you destroy can get you up a gauge to 1 right there. And it gives you a little bit of time while it drains that if you destroy another enemy in time, it'll bring you back up another step. Up to, I think, 3 or 4. Those are all fairly linear bonuses. It only works while it's active, but what they're going to do for you is give you progressively increasing levels of drop chance up. Have to forgive me, I'm a little stuffy today. So that 1 through 4 is progressive things of healing drop up, part break out, rare item drop, rare item pickup, all the way up to 4. So if you waste a bunch of ads before you start wailing on the boss, you have a higher chance to actually get stuff to fly off or stuff to drop. Now the hit combo bonus is just about getting hits. That one kind of speaks for itself. Try and get a little combo going up here. And it's more traditional passive buffs. The gauge lasts longer. The gauge goes down grade by grade, unlike the break gauge, that if you run out of your time on it, you just lose it all. But you'll be looking at stuff like attack power up, shooting gauge recovery speed, so reload up, thruster gauge recovery up, reaction speed up, option cooldown time, EX gauge increase, time to get the next hit combo gauge up, prerequisite to get the next level down, and then finally at 9, if you manage to max up and keep it there, it's just an overall attack buff. And with enough multi-hit attacks and enough enemies on screen, it's not terribly hard to get that up to a 9. You just have to constantly keep hitting the, yeah, look at that. It takes an extra second before it drains out fully. You just gotta keep getting the hits and the combos in. So a bunch of smaller, weaker hits from stuff like machine cannons can add up pretty fast to get you those bonuses. I mean, not on this build. This build can't do that. It has jet boots. Alright, hiding backpacks and why that's bad. EX skills can be overfed. Built-in weapons and shields. Unique option parts that interact with other options, like using the spinning beam saber with Vulcans together. Relocating shields or hiding backpacks. Yeah, that's a bunch of the cool stuff I found in here so far. I got 20 hours in this goddamn demo. Between leaving it on, just labbing all the time. I feel good about it. I'm going to accept it's not going to be the crazy Breaker 3 sequel everyone wants. It's not going to be the same exact level of intensity, of speed, responsiveness. I'm not going to pretend that being multi-platform might hurt that a little bit. Being on Switch might, have it, I don't call it dumbed down, but I can definitely feel the production kind of lack on it. But maybe that's good. Maybe a more casual approach is better. I know I had my fair criticisms of 3. Chapter 4 especially, hot damn. Where you ended up having to do a million goddamn missions with these nobodies from summer camp, and half of them were core battles, and each one of those missions could take anywhere from a half an hour to 40 minutes if you're really dragging. And it just felt bad. Having a more streamlined approach here with fast transitions from zone to zone, pretty okay. I'm not going to say I am totally cool with every single mission being a just like a kill and collect. I hope there's some more variety. I hope some fun bosses come back. I guess the traversal through the stage in 3 kind of gave it a little more padding, made it feel like more of an adventure than just move from zone to zone. But as long as the customization's there, that's all people want. Like, there's a big enough subset of people who wouldn't care if they never touched or looked at 3 again, as long as they get an offline version of GBM just for the roster, And the roster's apparently going to be here. So with customization better than it's ever been, with the roster being beefy as hell, there's hope to scratch that itch. There's hope to really be a solid game. even if it's not what everybody wants. Breaker 3.5 or Breaker 3 Wii Edition, I'm still going to get it. I'm still going to love it. It's not my GBM, but it's kind of halfway between a GBM and a GB3 style of your choices seem to matter a bit more, but you can also just keep running up and hitting, XXX triangle, wacky wahoo, high times into stingers, into round trips, into tombstones. It works. I'm excited for it. If there's nothing else you guys want to see, I think I'm finally gonna close the game. I'm gonna say goodbye to the game. Maybe I should get some goddamn sleep tonight. Also named this thing I made. I think it's pretty cool. Open suggestions, leave comments. And there it is. Back to the title screen. So until we hear about next network test, until we hear about another demo, until we hear anything, this is it. I mean, optimistically, I'm thinking 3 or 4 months at most before it's in our hands. I'm going to follow it every step of the way, man. I've already put together a bunch of videos for every kit in the demo, just to see what the unique actions are. The only one I'm lacking, unfortunately, is full armor. I did not have the left arm, legs, or head, so I'm just going to leave that one out. But I'm going to make those public in a few minutes, and at least we'll have something to reference. See all the cool shit you can do in-game. Oh, except for Zaku 2, because it's literally identical to Charazaku. So I'm not... And they have no options, they have no EXs, screw that. Y'all be excellent. Goodbye from the final stream of the network test. Unless you want to talk for 3 minutes and 42 seconds to round this up to a solid hour. Oh yeah. Unfortunately, it does not appear to be cross-platform as far as co-op goes. I'm sure there's going to be more than enough of us on PC or on PlayStation or even Switch, God forbid, that we can definitely get some rooms going. There's no competitive aspect, at least, so it's not like we need to coordinate each other. Just have fun with whoever's on. They did confirm bounty hunts are back, though, so you'll have asynchronous PvP. You'll be able to select a build someone uploaded and fight an AI-controlled version of it. Or 2 or 3 at once. And sometimes they were really rough. Like, you need to really cheese them out in some cases. And then you get bounty points, you have a chance of getting parts off that particular kit. So it helps trying to track down the rare stuff without having to constantly slog through those particular missions over and over again. And hey, maybe we can set up like, friend battle tournaments or something like GBM used to have. Since that's more or less what that is, just asynchronous multiplayer. I got a minute left. Somebody say something nice about my build. I like how it has that gold stripe on the right arm, but not the left arm. Because the left arm is where the shield is, so it didn't need the extra detail. I also like that it's red. I wonder if I'm going to get accused of hacking again for being in the game this late after it closed. Oh, that's a full hour. You guys be awesome. I will see you elsewhere.